Okay, members, so I think we're back. We're back online, yep. Um, I have a number of indications still, and oh, sorry, yes, Alison.
Just to advise that while in committee, members received an update on the internal audit investigation into the publication on the inaccuracies that have been referenced in the report, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Seconder, just
Do
to
we have
note that.
do we have a proposer and seconder to note that? Feel free to shout out.
Proposed by Bernice.
Okay, second.
Second, Diana.
Okay. Any objections, please indicate now. Okay, that's passed. My next indication is Councillor Hart Thornton.
Thank you, Chair. I, along with my colleagues within the Ulster Unionist Party, share the concerns of members already raised. This has been an unsatisfactory chain of events with regard to the local development plan that thankfully has been identified by individuals and, in fact, lobby groups before the LDP progressed any further. On behalf of my party, I fully support, and we fully support, and welcome the recommendations made by the Chief Executive here this evening. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Thornton. Just remember your hand, Howard. Councillor Michael Lear.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I suppose like speaker previous to me, I've had serious concerns with this whole process from the very beginning. I think it is again quite concerning, especially from a personal point of view, that the majority of the changes that were either ignored, not made, or reversed were actually those proposed by independents or by members of smaller parties. And unfortunately, that seems to be quite a worrying trend within this mandate. And I know it's an issue that I've raised previously with the chair. I suppose by and large, this is one of the dangers of doing business behind closed doors. We are a council that pride ourselves on being open, being transparent. And I think there's a lot of business discussed rather needlessly, in my opinion, at least, under the cloak of confidential business. I'm quite concerned that as something that's advertised and is labelled as a local development plan, that is the case, because it really limits public input and it leads to situations or scenarios such as that has occurred and been identified and been further identified due to this investigation actually taking place. I'd like to reiterate just a point made by Councillor O'Coffey that the chair of the steering group had told myself and a number of others quite early on that we would not be able to get any changes into the local development plan, which to my mind set alarm bells ringing from a very early stage. And I acknowledge some of what was said in confidential business and a previous point made by a councillor that there was an issue there in terms of handover, but I think there's a lot of that it wouldn't have made any difference no matter what the handover was if that was the attitude. I have raised concerns about the complexity and length of the development plan document itself. I don't think it's conducive to having input from our local community, and I think that has been reflected in the number of responses we've got as that process has went on. I think it has proven to be quite exclusionary, and unfortunately it fell to the community and to the anti-fracking groups to actually pick up on the mistake that was made on that. I suppose despite some mischievous claims from others that they were behind picking it up. But just to pick up on a statement from Councillor Gannon, and whilst I would applaud the SDLP for their stance on fracking, I'm very disappointed in their continued pro-mining stance, at least in this district. Human error is one thing, but I think when you physically change an agreed position to the opposite or to a contrary stance, it's actually something much more serious.
I'm just looking at your time here now, just be careful.
I'll rattle on through. Just in terms of the independence of the audit, it's something that's been raised as something that I'm very keen, that is really of paramount importance if we're to re-establish or rebuild confidence in the council, we need to ensure that the people or those involved in either making or authorising the errors that were made are not involved. And again, just to question the role of the SPPS in all of this, we're duplicating seemingly a document that is already in existence, but a document that was due for review, if not this year, then last year, and hasn't been reviewed. So it's actually an outdated document. We've raised concerns about numerous issues that aren't included in the development plan, such as a massive issue like climate change, which doesn't get really a proper mention. So whilst this process started a number of years ago, surely it has to have.
I'm gonna have to hurry you here now because you're a minute over.
I have serious concerns in the process, and I would actually be inquiring, is there a possibility of raising no confidence in what has been done to date? Is that a possibility that we can do something like that? Because to my mind, it hasn't been good enough, and I think we need to do something that is truly inclusive of our communities, whether that's making it a bite-size issue where we address each of the topics individually, because to my mind, really what we've done to date just isn't sufficient. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. I mean, I can maybe pass the chief executive around the idea of a no confidence.
And sorry, Chair, just to support or second the proposal made by Councillor O'Reilly, if it hasn't already been done.
It's already been done.
All right.
Chair, just I've already I highlighted an investigation is underway which will make recommendations. So I would think, should there be any subsequent course of action, members can consider that following the completion of the investigation.
I think that's fair enough. Councillor Green.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Well, one of the things that has raised in my head around all of this here is we agree to a position when we're around all of these type of things that comes before us. We'd agree a position, majority position. I don't always agree with what we agree to, but that's the council position then. And on this occasion, the council position was unanimously voted on, and what wasn't, it was changed then by whoever time will tell, I guess, who changed it. But my question, or one of my questions is, all the other consultations that has been in the council in the last 5 years, are we confident that all of them are equally sound? That what we agreed and we'd put in hours and hours, night after night on these things, and maybe councillors don't then just go through it as forensically as they should, the final document that comes out, because they believe they have already agreed stuff. And on this occasion, the document came out and it was the public that spotted it. So,
I was going to ask, would you prefer to take your questions sort of in turn, or do you want to ask them all at once and then get one sort of?
Yeah, well, if Alison could answer that one, just how confident are we? And is there any process that can be done to actually take a look back at it? Maybe it'll be too cumbersome or what?
Chair, in terms of, may I just clarify, does Councillor Green mean in relation to the development plan or just consultations and other work generally?
Yeah, other work generally around stuff that we have previously agreed, especially bits of work like this that we've done. I just can't name them off the top of my head, okay. But there has been major bits of work done, and I'm just wondering, has the stuff been agreed that we actually are being processed that we actually agreed to?
Chair, certainly I have not been alerted to either by members of the public or councillors or officers of any other inconsistencies, either in this document or previously. I'm certainly not aware of anything, councillor. I mean, I think what this particular scenario has highlighted to us is the need, obviously, to be, we have a very, as you will all be aware, we have an action sheet, we've minutes, we have a formal ratification process. So certainly I would be confident that the decisions that the council has taken have been enacted. In terms of the development plan itself, there have certainly been various stages of document preparation, consultation, review, further consultation, and scrutiny of all of those elements. And clearly the suite of documents before you this evening is based on the detailed review and cross-checking of everything that has happened since last October, which was the decision point again for members.
Mhm.
So I would be satisfied in that regard. I mean, what I'm conscious, Chair, is that we didn't, certainly from my perspective, I didn't anticipate this situation on the 1st of September until it was highlighted by members. So it's a very cautionary tale.
Okay. Just going on to another point, it was what Councillor McAleer had said, that it was a lot of the stuff that himself and other independent councillors had raised that was knocked back. Well, he mustn't sit in my chair then. Obviously he doesn't, because I actually left one of the meetings one night, and I think the comment I made was I just couldn't handle being told that I was wrong so many different times. I was blue in the face trying to get proposals through, and I was batted back on every occasion, even though I previously thought that they had been agreed and that the council had made promises to myself and other councillors that they would. I think I raised it in confidential matters, what I'm talking about, but I certainly wouldn't accept that it's just independent councillors, because from where I'm coming from, I don't think anyone got batted back as much as I did, and I don't think anybody raised as many issues as I did in the thing. But I'll just leave it at that. But I don't want the impression that nobody was doing any work bar the independent councillors. And I will raise my hands. They were certainly doing good work, but I wouldn't like the impression that they are the only ones that were doing anything, because that's certainly not the case. The other thing, I believe in responses to a previous consultation, myself and a number of councillors did raise issues. Even we felt that strongly, we put it into our consultation replies. So this whole process has been fraught with it's one of the toughest and hardest things that I have been involved in the council. And I found it the most frustrating, and to try to get anything changed, it was almost impossible to get anything changed. So I honestly don't know where we go from here. I think possibly that the suggestion of what has been put before tonight possibly is sound enough, but the investigation needs to be thorough, and the public need to be made aware, because there is an awful lot of people out there just doesn't trust the council anymore overhead of this, and does not trust their councillors overhead of this, which is an absolutely serious problem if that's the case. So I'll just leave it.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Green. Just do us a favour and remove your hand there whenever you finish speaking. Councillor Eamon Keenan, please.
Thank you, Chair. I suppose, like everyone else, I'm very disappointed. Council stands from fracking.
Breaking for you too.
Whether it was a mistake or whatever, the oversight by the off brings into question the accountability, the transparency, and the democraticness of the council. A lot of the members have touched on this tonight, and I do know there's been an audit suggested and proposed, an internal audit, but probably going to get a wee bit of flack for this. But I'd agree with Emmett, and I call into question the soundness now of the local development plan. And I know it's been in process now since 2014, but it is going to be in effect for 20 years. It's very important. And listen to everyone tonight, all their concerns, proposals not actioned, discrepancies in minutes and actions. And many times, councillors been forced, almost under duress, to sign off on proposals with the threat of time and cost. Well, maybe Emmett was right when he was saying we could break it down to bite-sized chunks. I'd actually like to raise a proposal that we restart this with the participation of the public, as it was the public that noticed the discrepancy. I'd like to raise a proposal that we restart the local development plan, and we do it in bite-sized chunks with participatory democracy with the public involved at every stage. That's about it. Very, very disappointed.
Alison?
It's really just to seek a point of clarity, Chair. I mean, the whole process to date, while Councillor Keenan may disagree, has been undertaken with full public participation. So when he says this restarting of the development plan process, he may just wish to clarify the parameters of that.
Do you want to tease and put a bit of flesh in the bones then?
Well, I may not just be completely up to speed, Alison, in the whole things like yourself, but I'd actually be calling it a question of soundness of the whole thing. We're seeing a lot of errors. We're hearing, even from the councillors, that, it doesn't seem to be what people agreed upon. So I think I'm proposing that we restart from the start, bite-sized chunks, and every step of the way that it's overseen by public or independent people.
I mean, I'm just going to be go before else. I mean, I suppose it's difficult for me to sort of, I would need a little bit of clarity around, because you mentioned about sort of participatory democracy and stuff, like how the parameters of what you're suggesting would be different from what's happened so far. But I'll let Alison in beforehand.
Chair, it's just to
So
say
far,
that
what we're
everything
seeing
to
is
date,
Hold on. Eamon, I'll get you there in a second.
everything to date has been done in the, to use the terminology, the bite-sized chunks. My understanding in terms of the focus and where the very legitimate concern that's been highlighted by members was the inaccurate publication of the council's agreed position, both in February of this year. There is no suggestion of any changes prior to that period. So I would have thought the report as presented this evening, Chair, does give members a route through to allowing that to be consulted upon. If I know Councillor Keenan has referenced going back to the start, just to be clear, going back to the start actually means unwinding everything 5 years and going back to matters where there is certainly unanimous agreement that have already been resolved, both with the department as well as with the council. So I would have thought there's enough scope in the report before you in terms of the need for any subsequent investigations by other authorities if needed. I would suggest the internal audit concludes, and then that is something that the council can consider subsequently, Chair.
Okay, Eamon, I would suggest this is probably now it's driver cutting across you, but I can't have two people speaking at once, or else it becomes difficult. So, do you want to respond now, maybe?
Sorry, Chris. Yeah. I understand what Alison's saying, and yes, this initially was about the discrepancy in the about the fracking and those other stuff highlighted there. But listening to the concerns of the councillors tonight, they're raising serious concerns about actions, proposals not being actioned, about almost in time and cost, So.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm going to take it as a proposal on the table, but I am going to take it as sort of mutually exclusive to the first proposal. I think that makes sense. You happy enough with that, Eamon? So, I mean, if the first proposal that's by Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly and seconded by Councillor Curry passes, then yours can't pass because they sort of cancel each other out. So I think that's probably the way that I'm going to take that. So I'll be taking it in order that they were sort of taken in.
Chair, apology. Could I, Councillor McAleer, could I jump in just maybe to second, but maybe give a wee amendment to the proposal and maybe
hold on now. I have 1, 2, 3. I have like 6 speakers. Maybe at the end if there's time, but I mean I need to get through this. Like, I mean, you've been in twice now. Like, Councillor Deacon.
Thank you, Chair. And I would like to thank Alison for her report. And I want to welcome the fact that she, as Chief Executive of this Council, has acknowledged the inaccurate publication of the Council's agreed position. Her acknowledgement that this is a very serious and unprecedented occurrence, and also welcome her immediate move to address this inaccuracy, and also to thank her for further scrutinising the document and identifying further inaccuracies, and then restarting the consultation process. I feel that this is a very unfortunate situation, very regrettable. I recognise, as Alison rightly says, that it has undermined public confidence in the process. And notwithstanding the genuine comments that have been made by members regarding the integrity of the process, I do believe, and it's not up to me to defend the council officers, and it's not up to me to preempt the outcome of the formal internal audit investigation. I feel myself that this was an honest error. I think members have spoken about their feeling that they are not being listened to, that officers do not take on board their concerns. And that is a matter of concern, because as a public representative, every councillor on this council has a right to express their views strongly, to have them listened, and to have their positions considered. And over the prolonged period that we have been debating the local development plan, the draft plan strategy, we have had long debates. And from my recollection, one of the main issues was to try to reach some compromise between what we as public representatives felt best met the needs of our community versus our requirement to produce a document which would withstand independent examination in terms of the test of soundness. So there was always a balance to be achieved there. I think it's very unfortunate that many of these inaccuracies related to important environmental issues that we all feel very passionate about. And I think that, as other members have said, we are fortunate indeed that members of the community scrutinised this document and were able to identify those issues. For those members who have expressed no confidence in officers, I think the fact that we as members did not scrutinise the consultation document actually is testimony to the confidence that we do have in officers, that they would reflect accurately the decisions of the council, and it's just regrettable that that didn't happen. I don't think it was anything sinister, but I will await the outcome of the internal investigation. I think it's also important to remember that despite the fact that the local development plan is the single most important document that this council will produce, the council has undergone a period of change in terms of our new chief executive, many of our senior officers and departmental heads retiring. So it has not been an easy time for the council officers, and the work burden is quite significant. So I would not like to think that there was anything sinister going on here, in that there was a deliberate attempt made to misrepresent the position of the council, but we will await the outcome of the inquiry. But having made those comments, Chair, I would be happy to support Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly's proposal that we accept Alison's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. That's about 3 minutes on the dot. Right, I have 4 indications here. I believe 3 of them have already spoken before. I don't believe Councillor Feely has spoken yet, so I'm going to bring you in before I bring anyone else in for the second time. Councillor Feely.
Thank you, Cahirley Chris, and I'll be very brief. It's not really a question, it's more of comment. I was coming in the same as Councillor Reid there about the remarks that Emmett was making there about the smaller parties and kind of parties was doing nothing. I was sitting beside Seamus them nights at them steering groups, and the chamber wasn't too full. There wasn't that many of us there, and Seamus put in serious amount of effort, especially on one item that I was involved in myself with the rural dispersed areas. And only for the work that Seamus put in there, we wouldn't have got some of them changes made that we did. So I'm just bringing to my colleague there, and I'm not going to go into this with fracking the night, or because Councillor Curry has covered all that very well. I just want to back Seamus there what he's saying, but Seamus. He was there the night that he got up and left out, and he was discussing on that night, and he did get near enough all we wanted to do on the dispersed rural areas, which was a big issue for us in this area. So I just wanted to come in to back Seamus there on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Feely. 2 more indications. I must get. I'm going to ask, plead to be honest, for brevity. Councillor Curry.
For Margaret Cahirley, thanks for letting me in. I will be brief. But it is just to take a wee bit of issue with the assertion that what's been taken out or omitted or changed were only submitted by independents or single party groups. I think at best that's mischievous. I think, you know, we are in a council here where we are concerned about these issues. Our party proposed that original wording around MAN 04, and we have seen it through. So I can only speak from my own time. SUDS was actually my proposal, but it was grateful to have support, and I think we work quite well in the group, not just in my party, but with independent and single member party groups on a number of issues. You know, there was substantial work done there. I do want to thank the community again for bringing this to our attention, but I'd just also like to point out that several of our party members are part of the community and part of the anti-fracking community in particular. And it was those members who originally contacted our party about it. We had raised it to be pulled actually before it came to the meeting. We were left with no alternative but to go to the meeting and pull it because it couldn't be pulled beforehand. So that's where we sit on that. In terms of the original proposal, which I seconded, we're content that the audit goes ahead and then we'll decide if we're satisfied with the outcome or if
further action has to be taken.
There should be further investigation. But tonight is really ultimately not questioning the decisions that the LDP steering group and indeed the council have made, but it's really what was presented in the public consultation.
Okay.
For Margaret.
You know, look, every time I look at this, there's new indications. Councillor Feely, I'm assuming that hand's up in air. Councillor McAleer, you know, you can take the hand if you want to, but please just keep this sort of vaguely manageable.
And just to confirm something, like I am aware of the work that Councillor Green put in. I wasn't intentionally having to go with anyone. My point was that the issues identified were proposed by in the majority, not all of them, in the majority by independents. That was my point. I'm aware of Seamus and the frustration he's experienced, and I think it's tantamount to the proposal made by Councillor Keenan that in essence, council was forced to sign off on something that they weren't happy with. That's the point that is kind of needs to be remembered here. That's why I'm seconding Councillor Keenan's proposal. And I think just to clarify, there was a great deal of work, and there has been a great deal of work carried out to get to this point. There is a draft document there divided into many headings and many different subsections. there's a template there to work off to break down into relevant chunks. Some of them are going to interest people, some of them they maybe have less concern about. I know personally speaking, there's quite a number that I'm keenly interested in, but you have an outline there of where you can break each relevant section just using simply the contents page of the draft document. I think there has been an undue weighting to some of the representations made from not just statutory bodies, but from those with a financial and a corporate interest in progressing or proceeding down a certain path. I think we have a body of work to do in terms of getting the community back on side. That's what I'd like to support, and if needs to be amended, hopefully Councillor Keenan will be happy enough for that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll deal with that, as I say, if Anne-Marie Donnelly's proposal doesn't get through. Councillor Coffey, once again, please like a minute, because and then we're going to a vote.
No problem. I just want to make sure that it's absolutely clear that people like Eddie Mitchell, who are not politically affiliated with the people who spotted this, and I think it has to be called out because they have stood every step of the way on this, and I'll not retreat. I know exactly how this got to every party. I know exactly how it got to them, and just to put that on the record. Thank you.
Hold on. No, stop there a second. I'm sort of slightly uncomfortable people being named in the council chamber. I know we may be happy enough with that, but I mean, I'm just slightly uncomfortable with in future. Maybe just don't mention people by name because it can be sort of can be uncomfortable. Look, I'm gonna take this to a vote now. I'm assuming.
Chair, can I call for a recorded vote? Apologies for jumping on.
I was going to suggest that probably somebody was going to suggest a recorded vote. The first vote we're going to, so as I say, that we're going to have Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly and Councillor Siobhan Curry's proposal, which is to accept the recommendations in the report. If that fails, then we'll move to Eamon Keenan and Councillor McAleer to restart the process. That proposal. Aside from that, then we have a proposal by Councillor O'Reilly and seconded by Councillor Swift. That is independent. We'll take that at the end.
Chair, could we please have clarification again on what Councillor Keenan's proposal was?
Alison?
Yes, Chair, certainly. Well, I know that Councillor McAleer was maybe suggesting an amendment, but the proposal from Councillor Keenan, as I understand it, is to go back to the start of the process.
Would that be accurate, Councillor Keenan?
That'll be correct, yeah. And I'll accept Emmett's amendment as well. And it's not just to start the process the same way, it would be to include the public in every step of the way, and before anything's signed off, and to give us enough time.
It's just on a point of accuracy, Chair. We're required to include the public at every step of the way, hence that has happened. So that'll be reflected in the original proposal.
Okay. Well, I think we'll take it at least as a restart. So look, I think we'll as I say, we're voting at the minute on the proposal by Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly, seconded by Councillor Siobhan Curry, to accept the recommendations within the report. And Alison, if you want to take the roll call.
Okay, Councillor Armstrong.
For.
Councillor Baird.
For.
Councillor Blake.
For.
Councillor Buchanan.
Circle back to him a bit.
Okay, Chair. Councillor Campbell.
For.
Councillor Clark. Councillor Coyle.
For.
Councillor Curry.
Evaver for.
Councillor Deehan.
For.
Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly.
For.
Councillor Sean Donnelly.
For.
Councillor Stephen Donnelly.
For.
Councillor Elliott.
For.
Councillor Erskine.
For.
Councillor Feely.
For.
Councillor Fitzgerald.
Chair, apologies should be recorded for Councillor Fitzgerald. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Gannon. Councillor Gannon might have left, Chair, I think.
Yeah, Councillor Gannon's left. Sorry.
Okay. Councillor Garrity is an apology.
Mhm.
Councillor Green.
4.
Councillor Irvine is an apology. Councillor Keenan.
Against.
Councillor Catherine Kelly. Councillor Catherine Kelly. Her name's there, okay. Come back. Councillor Podrigan Kelly.
Sorry, could you come back to me?
Oh, sorry. Councillor Catherine Kelly.
4.
Councillor Podrigan Kelly.
4.
Councillor Maguire.
Lahayan Malta 4.
Councillor McAleer.
Against.
Councillor McCaffrey.
Lahayan Malta 4.
Councillor McCann is an apology. Councillor McCloughery.
Four.
Councillor McElduff.
Tommy Lahai and Malta 4.
Councillor McPhillips. Don't think he's on the call, Chair.
No, he's an apology also.
Okay. Councillor O'Coffey.
Against.
Councillor O'Reilly.
4.
Councillor Rainey. Councillor Robinson.
4.
Councillor Smith.
4.
Councillor Swift.
4.
Councillor Thompson.
4.
Councillor Thornton.
4.
Councillor Warrington.
4.
And Councillor Wilson is an apology. I'll just go back to read Councillor Buchanan.
Sorry, Chair, can you hear me now there?
I got you now.
4, please.
And I think that was, yeah, I think that's all, Chair. Just count these now. Chair, we make that 28 for and 3 against. So that's carried, Chair.
Okay. Next, so I'm going to take Councillor Keenan's proposal then is falling. We have a separate proposal by Councillor O'Reilly, seconded by Councillor Swift, to sort of look in a general sense as to how communication between councillors and staff is conducted. I think this one might get through, but like if anyone wishes to object, will they indicate now? Okay, well I'm going to take that as passed as well. So that's that issue dealt with. So if we move now to item 4, correspondence.
Chair, we have a few items of correspondence which arrived after the publication of the agenda. One is a confidential item, Chair, but I will maybe refer to the open items first, if I may.
Yeah.
The first is from NILGA, and it's just a code of conduct awareness sessions, and this is for councillors by the local, it's facilitated by the local government commissioner for standards. It will be held on the 7th of September from 2 to 4 p.m. and it's an online meeting via Zoom, Chair. NILGA are keen just to have confirmation for attendance so that they will be able to send out all of the information.
Okay. Do we have...
Well, even, Chair, if we could perhaps have members who would be interested perhaps by the end of this week, so that would be Friday the 25th to Democratic Services, just to allow NILGA to make their own arrangements.
Okay, I think that's okay. Councillor Deehan.
Yes, Chair, I would be interested in attending that.
Okay.
Tuning into it, I should say.
Well, yeah. Would you propose a note as well? Or?
Yes. Well, I think, Chair, what we'd be maybe suggesting, just propose any councillor who wishes to attend could do so, but it's just really for the logistics if we'd have the details, please.
Councillor Coyle.
Propose that, Chair.
I'll propose Chair, Councillor Deehan and any other councillor to be in by the 25th.
Okay, I heard Councillor
I'll second
Thompson.
that, Chairman.
As I say, I think I heard Councillor Thompson there. So I'll take it as a proposal by Councillor Coyle and a seconder by Councillor Thompson. Any objections to that? Please indicate now. Okay, I'll take that as passed.
And then, Chair, the second event from NILGA is the Environmental Impact Assessment Essentials, what councillors need to know. That's also a Zoom meeting 15th of October from 10 to 12:30 p.m. And again, just the detail is there, and it'll be undertaken by Josh Fothergill.
And no size constraints?
No, again, Chair, just for the logistics for NILGA. So maybe the same deadline if members were content, and we'd recommend approval accordingly.
Happy to propose, Chairman. Councillor Thompson.
Wait. I've got an indication from Councillor Deehan. Councillor Deehan.
Yes, Chair, I would be interested in tuning into that, and also will second Councillor Thompson's proposal that any other interested councillor may attend. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Coyle, I'm assuming similar, yeah?
Yeah, I would like to attend that, please, Chair.
Okay, well, I think you'd still have to send an email into Democratic Services just to keep the administration sort of clean. Does anyone have any objection to any member who wishes to attend being given leave to do so, and that they should contact Democratic Services by Friday, was it? Yeah.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. Anyone who wishes to object to that?
Chair, just a request, a wee note from Democratic Services, a wee reminder about both events, maybe tomorrow. Thank you.
Is that all right? Yeah.
Yes, of course, Chair. That's happy to do that.
Okay. As I say, any objections, please indicate now. Okay, I'm going to take it as passed.
And Chair, just correspondence item 4.3 came in on Friday evening. This was from DFI colleagues, and it followed on really from discussions at the special council meeting. So it's the proposals for the 20-mile-an-hour speed limits at the following schools. So essentially the correspondence is that letter together with the accompanying maps, and we have just been asked to bring this to the council's attention. And as you will see from the letter, the police have been consulted regarding the proposals.
Okay.
Just recommending that to be noted, Chair, please.
Chair, Councillor Thompson proposed.
Wait. There are a number. There's two actually. Indications. Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly, please.
Propose to note, Chair.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Councillor McCaffrey.
Gormagad to Carly, yeah, just happy to second that and the welcome in the introduction of 4 schools in Fermanagh. Could have been more, but we'll take what we get. Gormagad.
Yeah. I suppose maybe it might be handier just if only to indicate if you maybe have sort of some proposal other than to note. It might just make things a wee bit easier on my end. But that's grand. Any objections? Please indicate now. Okay, we'll take it was passed as well. And now we're going to. No, I think we'll go into committee now, sure, and then I think of one item of AOB just. Do we have a proposer and seconder to go into committee? Councillor McCaffrey, you've indicated. Councillor Deehan, I'm assuming you're happy enough to propose, Councillor McCaffrey?
Yes, Carly, happy to propose.
Okay, Councillor Deehan?
Seconded, Chair.
Lovely. Any objections? No. Okay.
Right, Chair. Sorry, can I just... This is noted as item 4.1 on the agenda I've received, is it? And it seems to be an open business. Is this in relation to what we're moving into confidential?
It shouldn't be when we pass to the Chief Executive.
No, well, just to confirm, it is legal advice, Chair, so it shouldn't be available in public. The letter might be referenced, but the details shouldn't be published.
I'm looking just... Sorry, Chair, sorry, Chief Executive. Looking at my minute pad, it doesn't seem to be noted as being. Now, that's not to say that it's not, but just in terms of the minute pad, I'm looking at, it's actually the first item of correspondence, 4.1.
Yes, but that'll be in the order received. So, but it shouldn't be publicly accessible, is the point, Chair. So it would be dealt with in committee.
Okay, just it's not noted. That's all right. No problem.
Radio. I think are we